You're listening to Across the Pondcast. Cybersecurity rants and war stories from both sides of the Atlantic.
Hello and welcome to Across the Pondcast, a show where we talk and occasionally rant about cybersecurity topics with perspectives from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Tib3rius. I'm joined, as always, by my lovely wormy boy co-host, Mr. Andy Swift. And today we're joined by Katie Paxton-Fear, also known as InsiderPhD, security advocate at SemGrep, content creator, educational YouTuber, occasional bug bounty hunter, and ex-university lecturer. Katie is here with us today to talk about Shai-Hulud and supply chain attacks in general. Katie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm also on this side of the Atlantic as well, so...
Yes. Have we had technically 3 British people on this show? Because I'm still British in the technical way.
When you get forced to be.
Yeah, I'm dual citizen.
A whole 3, yeah. A whole 3. I feel like we're outnumbered so far.
Andy is often outnumbered by Americans on this podcast, so I think he's very happy right now.
Do you count as like one half American and then one half Brit?
I do, usually. We had Daniel, no, I'm talking, we had UK Daniel Card on the podcast, so we have had another Brit.
That's like 2.5
that was very early
Brits
on.
to 0.5 Americans.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we're outnumbered. Ah, well. It was good fun. He wants to come on again.
Good, we'll have him.
Have him soon.
Andy, how are you doing? You were racing at the weekend.
I was racing again at the weekend, yeah. Yeah, I was. It was good. I came back in one piece again, and my face is slightly burnt from like sitting in the Welsh sun, which, for those of you that know Wales never has any sun, apart from this weekend, which is great, yeah.
I mean, it's been unseasonably warm the past few weeks. I gotta say, I've had so many conversations about air conditioning. So I have air conditioning, and it's obviously like a bit weird for those who are not in the UK. UK homes don't typically have air conditioning. As soon as I bought a house, I bought air conditioning because I'm not going through another summer without it. And I think in the past 2 weeks, I've had like 7 or 8 conversations about air conditioning, boiling down to how much was your air conditioning and who installed it for you. That's how warm it's been.
So good.
It seems like a really good idea for like us Brits. We get to like the beginning of summer, we're like, we must all have aircon now, and then we get to the rest of the year and it's like, our summer's finished. Like today, it was hailstones where I am.
I've still got my air conditioning on at the moment, on cool mode. I like the fact that it's the same temperature year round.
Love it.
It is, it's nice. Because it removes the humidity as well, which
the
is
Americans
great,
have it right, to be honest. I hate to say it, but...
No, we don't.
Nice.
No, we don't say things like that on this podcast.
Swift finally gets another Brit on, and immediately she turns American.
I don't know if I count, though, because
Take
of the
Katie.
past 2 months, I've spent 1 week in the UK. I have been to many, many parts of the US in the past few months.
Nice. That's what we like to hear.
Well, whilst I've been
Best
to Wales.
Yeah.
Woo.
Well, before we start, this show is made possible thanks to our sponsors. If you want to sponsor an episode, please send an email to sponsors@acrossthepondcast.net for more details. All right. Katie, Shai-Hulud, Wormy Boys. Let's chat.
Yeah. By the way, as we're recording, the last Shai-Hulud related breach was yesterday. I have been on call for basically all of them, including, by the way, at RSA, where I was like I work at SemGrep. SemGrep has an office in San Francisco. And I was working in the office, and like midway through RSA, I'm like getting ready to go hit the show floor, go see all the vendors. Oh my God, there's another Shai-Hulud. So I'm like sitting there in the office, and all the salespeople are coming up, being like, "Oh, Katie's." And I'm like, no, leave me alone. I need to write a blog post. I need to analyze malware. Go away. Yeah, Shai-Hulud, it's a lot. It's been a lot. NPM probably needs to do something about these, to be honest. It's getting a bit silly.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously we record these like usually about 2 months before they actually air. But yeah, so there was one yesterday, but by the time this airs, there's probably also
there'll probably be one yesterday when it comes out as well. No, I mean, to be fair, So for those who don't know, Shai-Hulud is a like vibe coded piece of malware. It's a worm. It's on npm. It actually escaped to a few other package managers actually, but Team PCP, who's the threat actor group behind it, actually open sourced Shai-Hulud. So now everyone can use it. So now, it's a free for. They've got a competition going on breach forums as well. Get the best breach with their vibe coded malware and you get a prize. So
What's
it probably will be.
That's hilarious.
Anyone know what the prize is?
You know what? I might do. I might have written it down when. Oh, did I? I did write it down. $1,000 to the best breach.
Hey, to the best breach.
Not too shabby.
I gotta say, it's pretty disappointing for a bounty, though.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I think a bug bounty program might actually pay better than that.
I mean, I don't know. The state of bug bounty is kind of up in the air right now as well. So, so you mentioned PCP were behind. Were they behind the original? Because there have been so many Shai-Huluds.
There has.
And I am not familiar with the history other than the fact that every time it happens, I usually tweet something like they made a wormy boy in NPM, which then sort of goes semi-viral, which I always found amusing.
So this all started, I did bring research this, by the way, August 2000.
Excellent.
Actually, on my birthday, looking at this, on my birthday, August 27th, 2025, we had our first look at the very first supply chain worm called Singularity. That's pretty much where it started. And essentially, this basically affected NX. This is the NX compromise. So that was the first one. And then the next one, by November 25th, we now see the very first mention of like Shai-Hulud. Is that right? No. This is the second one. Hold up.
There have been too many.
I'm checking. There has been too many. Okay, no. Okay, right. September 15th. So like 2 or 3 weeks later, we saw the first version of Shai-Hulud, which affected Tiny Color. And that was the first, like, actually quite successful worm as well. The Singularity, I don't think, was as successful in the end. Mostly because it did work with, it went through like GitHub and it was like exfiltrating using GitHub as a C2 to do like GitHub dead drops. But then in September, we then have the very first mention of Shai-Hulud. Now, I'm pretty sure that most people think the threat group Team PCP was behind all of the Shai-Huluds. I don't know if it's clear whether or not they were from Singularity though. But yeah, there's been a few. Hold on, let me tell you how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's been 14 that I have written blogs on or been a part of blogs written on. There's probably extras that didn't affect as many people. Since August, yeah. I cannot tell you like how much I hate Dune now. Like I don't. It's like just an automatic response at this point. Whenever I see anything Dune related, I'm like, oh my god, work. It's also the most stressful part as well. If it like I was not an incident responder. For reference, my very first incident, I was a newly grad, literally come out of university for like 2 weeks. My very first incident was a ransomware attack on this company I worked for. And I worked for like a really small call center and I was working in IT. And my only thing, we were actively getting ransomware. So I just went and I just switched the server off. And I was like, I don't really know what else to do, man. The very important like director of the company is like, what are you doing? Can we open up the phones? I'm like, I don't know, I'm like 20. This is too much responsibility for me. I don't know what to do. What do you mean? You tell the responsible actor. So I switched the server off. So prior to this, I haven't really done much incident response. So this has been kind of a trial by fire a little bit. And I do have to say, by the way, for a lot of the incident response, the best sources, like I love saying up the company I work for, the best sources, Step Security, Akaido, and Ox Research have done a ton of stuff in actually analyzing some of this malware because they don't have Katie, they have like an actual malware analyst who actually knows how to read this. And you haven't just got Katie writing about wormy boys because she saw them on Twitter.
I do like the meme.
I like it too. And so did Team PCP. Team PCP liked it as well because they made a reference to it. They made a reference to wormy boys in was it Children of Shai-Hulud or was it a mini Shai-Hulud where they referenced it? Oh man. It was. I
Which
called
I
it
hope
children's.
is a reference to me, but I don't know if it. I really hope it is. I don't.
Every
know
boy
if
is
it
a
is.
wormy boy. They made that was their dead drop.
That's like a life goal, isn't it?
No, I think the better one is that they got interviewed by a journalist and they were shouting out a supply chain vendor. They were shouting out Socket on the. They were like, I think the journalist asked them like which vendors are doing really well, and they're like, oh yeah, big shout out to Socket. We're always afraid when we see them. I'm like, your company got a recommendation from a threat actor group. Okay,
that's good. You got to jump on that, haven't you? Like your
really
marketing team. Yeah.
So I got access to dark web monitoring stuff because I did a sponsored video and their stuff was really cool. And what do you do when you get access to a dark web monitoring service as an individual? You dark web Google yourself. So I looked up InsiderPhD on this and it monitors like a bunch of forums. And I actually saw people were recommending my content to other like wannabe hackers saying, oh, Katie's got the best tutorials on web app security and API security. And I was like, man, I don't know if this is a compliment or like something to be genuinely concerned about.
Compliment. I'm going compliment.
Yeah.
See, the way I make myself feel better about that is by saying I'm showing them the good path of being a bug bounty hunter. Yeah. So otherwise I'm showing them a much more lucrative version. And that's how I go to sleep at night.
You'll go down a rabbit hole otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is completely off topic, but I think it's worth bringing up. It's sort of the age-old debate, kind of, in cybersecurity, especially around offensive tooling, which is obviously if you make offensive tooling or you teach hacking concepts, they can be used for good or evil. And there's always this debate about, should we be releasing offensive security tools? Because ultimately they will absolutely 100% be used by bad actors. But on the same side of that, they'll be used by good guys.
I actually had to deal with this when I was working as a lecturer, because the first thing I would do with my students, like the first day of class, I teach them how to pick locks, and it was great. The students loved it. Like I give them I gave them like lock picks and the locks, and I said, you've played Skyrim, right? You've seen this done in video games. Pick the lock. Here's the tools, use them correctly and pick the lock. And they obviously couldn't do it until I told them how a lock works. And that was my kind of, if you want to learn how to hack, you need to learn this first. That was my kind of pitch to them as to, here's why you should pay attention to me for the next 11 weeks and then do your assessment. But when I was doing that, I actually got like, not complaints from students, but other members of staff was like, is that responsible to teach students how to pick locks? And I'm like, look, if someone breaks into your house, they're not using lock picks, they're breaking a window. And that's the kind of same view I have on offensive tooling. It's like, yes, they might use it. There is always the chance. Realistically, most threat actors are using the same ransomware they've been successful with for the past 3 years. They're not looking on, they're not going to Black Hat and then seeing what new offensive security techniques are in like the Azure world, right? They're just using what already works and they're just breaking windows. They're not lockpicking. It's fine, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also the argument, like, if we lock these tools away, the only people who are going to have access to them are like private companies, we're going to like develop their own in-house tools. And then you have that incident, I think, last year where a ransomware negotiator was found to have been part of a ransomware group. So it was literally his job. I think there were two of them. Their job was to negotiate ransom down for companies, negotiate with the ransomware operators. It turned out he was also a ransomware operator. So yeah, I mean, we forget
job experience.
a lot of bad actors have day jobs.
Yeah,
well, I think it's
good cyber world.
I think it's also like look at, I know this is not nearly on the same level, but look at what AI, right? And you have like Mythos, for example. That's kind of the situation we've got in at the moment, which is that it's only really companies that can afford to blow millions of dollars on tokens that are going to have access to a lot of AI tooling. So it's kind of true in like the corporate world as well.
Yeah, I'd like access.
Yeah.
Not getting it.
We got very much off topic.
We have gone off topic. A mile off topic, but that's okay.
I assume that was the
that's
point of
what
the podcast.
It's
to be
what
honest.
we do.
It is. We tend, Andy and I tend to have this thing where we'll come up with topics if it's just me and him, and we can write down like one or two things in the show notes and think, oh, this is going to be a terrible episode, and it ends up just us talking for an hour and just somehow making content, which is great. But yeah, you can plan too much, I feel. For an episode. So
that's why I don't plan any of my videos or my talks. I just kind of vibe it, see what comes out of my mouth.
Someone posted the other day, they were like, it was literally yesterday, and I messaged you about it. I've just pointed to you on the screen. Like,
well, you messaged me about it, so...
So if you want to see me pointing, head over to YouTube. But no, so someone posted like, oh, just had the boys round for a quick chat. I'm like, oh, so they're listening to a podcast, but there's like having us in the room just chatting. That's what I quite like. We get off topic, talk absolute bollocks half the time, but hey, here we are.
The people want it, Swift.
So what?
Give the people what they want.
So Wormy Boy.
Wormy Boys, yes.
Wormy Boys.
Let's bring it back.
The very serious topic of Wormy Boys.
What happened last week? This is what I want to know, because I was on holiday last week and I came back, and this was literally yesterday, so I have no idea what's going on in the cyber world right now.
Okay, so it's June 1st. Katie awakens to her normal work, what she has to do. And then about lunchtime, she sees a notification from one of the other supply chain vendors. Oh my God, there's a new supply chain attack on NPM. So the first of the month, and the very first supply chain attack of the month, happening on the same day. So to give some background as to what actually happened. So essentially, some people were looking, this originally affected Red Hat, and people were looking at a lot of InfoStealer logs. So what folks think has probably happened is that a Red Hat employee was a victim of an InfoStealer, and that InfoStealer took his GitHub or their GitHub token, login token. And then from that, that's how the attackers got in initially. So they compromised one account and their GitHub token, and the account then went and did what's called an orphaned commit. And an orphaned commit is a commit that is really only visible to CI/CD pipelines. So Red Hat, as part of their cloud services, have a bunch of different libraries that they publish to NPM that all come from this cloud services repository that it's all created via CI/CD pipeline. So you can't see, it's not like something that it would be really obvious that the commit is there. It's actually coming from like a separate branch that no one really sees. Anyway, so what that does is that then attempts to access CI/CD pipelines through GitHub Actions. This is actually the first time that Team PCP has used GitHub Actions. That's actually how they managed to breach security vendors back during RSA as well. So the GitHub Actions runs inside this runner, and the malware then is kind of designed for these runners. So it's looking for cloud secrets, Azure, DevOps, it's looking for AWS creds, it's looking for Google Cloud Platform. It also looks for things like wallets, but I gotta say, this malware, especially the most recent version, have been really focused on CI/CD runners because it looks in the memory. It actually goes and when it's running, it looks in the memory to see what is in the environment variables and in the memory of the runner to actually find more tokens. Now, in order to stop this from happening, NPM introduced this system called Trusted Publishers. And with Trusted Publishing, you essentially can't just use a single NPM token anymore. You have to go through a OAuth style OIDC authentication flow. Great, perfect. So what does this piece of malware do in the GitHub Actions runner? It goes through that flow and then uses that to gain access to the NPM account, which it then goes and infects basically everything else a user can publish to. In this case, it was like all of Red Hat Cloud Services NPM repository. So it ends up being like a single GitHub account infects 30 plus packages. And then obviously the next stage is then the community spread. So people download the malware, the worm propagates. this time around, we didn't actually see much propagation. We have seen some community spread in previous attacks. Even like the most recent mini Shai-Hulud before this one had some community spread. That was back in May 18th. But we're pretty sure this is either Team PCP, who have got this new version of mini Shai-Hulud, or it is somebody who has downloaded the source code from their open source version and then changed it. I will say it is missing the Dune references this time around. Now it references Greek myths instead.
Boring.
And it's now been a bit more creative.
I don't know. I liked the Dune references.
The Dune references did make it fun. Well, that's the thing. I actually saw there's been like some mix. Like I've seen Wiz has got like a really good breakdown on like the entire history of Shai-Hulud, but there's some debate whether or not it's like somebody who has forked the malware and therefore is changed. They've got rid of the Dune references because they're not Team PCP, or whether or not it's Team PCP themselves who have decided to move on from Dune to Greek myths inspired.
We just don't like Frank Herbert.
It's because I called the last article like Children of Shai-Hulud, and they're running out of Dune books for me to reference. Yeah. So maybe I'm glad about that.
No. One thing you cannot do you cannot run out of Dune books. There's like 27 of them or something. There's like it's ridiculous. There's like I think there's 7 official, and then his son wrote like a ton more.
I didn't know his son wrote more. See, I've been looking at just the main series.
Yeah, there's so many Dune books, but like
perfect.
only
content for days.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I see. The Winds of Dune, Pool of Dune.
Yeah,
23 novels. Yeah.
There you go, 23.
Bloody hell. 6 core books, but 23.
Well, there's 14 Shai-Hulud worms since Singularity, so we're going through them, right? We are going to run out eventually.
Think that's going to stop at 23?
Yeah. He'll just start, okay, we've done it. We've done the meme.
That's the goal all along.
Yeah, we can retire now.
The goal was never propagation. It was...
It was 23 and that's it.
Yeah. It's literally to get all the Dune references in and then call it a day, and then we're done.
Watch this turn into it was all just a guerrilla marketing campaign by the folks behind the Dune 3 movie.
They're really trying hard because they're posting on the dark web and everything. I find it really weird. You know, they quit. Team PCP, after one of them, oh man, I can't remember. I think it was earlier this year. I think it might be in January this year. They actually quit and they were like, yeah, we're too burned out to do any more NPM supply chain attacks. It's like, so they actually quit for a bit. I called it then. I was on our Slack channel and I was like, I don't know if there will be another one of these because they've just given up. But no, apparently not. They're back. They're back and doing more.
All they needed was
memes are too strong.
Just a mid-season break.
Actually, that's when their son took over and then did all the other attacks this year.
Yes.
I hope that's the case. I really hope that's the case.
So, I mean, it's probably worth... We can't do a podcast about Shai-Hulud and NPM supply chain attacks without talking about, like, how do we even secure against these? It's a great question that NPM possible?
Has the answer to. So, okay, fun fact. The way they work is when you run npm install and then you type in the npm package, it will grab the package from the repository and then just put it into your, like, whatever, your library folder, right? So by default, it doesn't actually run any code. So you could pull in a dangerous package and nothing can happen. The problem is that npm ships with malware installers by default. So there are there's post-install hooks and there are pre-install hooks. And it literally allows any npm package to run commands as like npm just when a package is installed. You could literally run npm install -- no scripts. That would solve every single one of these. There would be no supply chain attacks. NPM has the solution. PNPM knows this. They have this on by default. And NPM still has done nothing about this. 2% of NPM packages, like legitimate packages, use this feature. 2%.
Wow.
And it's used by 100%, like actually maybe more like 90% of all of these malware attacks. You could turn off these, and the other ones are lifecycle hooks that are in like when they've gone on to like Hyper and stuff like that. It's been through things like lifecycle hooks, but it's all using. If you just had npm ignore scripts off by default, that would solve most of them, and we would not be having this conversation. npm has not done it. They've done absolutely nothing, even after they got attacked. Like GitHub got attacked, and they still haven't just turned this feature off. It frustrates me to no end.
Have they reasoned why they haven't turned it off?
No. Well, I should say there are some legitimate use cases for this. So when you do install packages, sometimes you do want to be able to run a script. So a good example is like AI packages will often like download the model in one of these scripts. So they won't ship the model in the npm repository because the model might be really big. So they don't want to have like there's bandwidth concern. A lot of packages use it for telemetry as well to find out how many people are installing it, which I don't know is a fully legitimate use case, but there are some legitimate use cases. But they actually did a study, and 2% of packages use this for legitimate purposes, and most packages never use it. If they do use it, it's usually some kind of hack for doing things like when you've got binaries that are distributed via npm, sometimes they will use it to actually install the binary and to run the binary. But again, npm is not for binaries. There are other ways of solving that problem, but they could solve it. PNPM already has, but they don't. And I do not understand why.
I feel like those legitimate use cases could be opt-in things as well.
Yeah, they totally could. It could like, just be like, to install our package, make sure you run this command that has include scripts. Problem solved.
So the solution is not to use npm.
Yes, like genuinely. If somebody there's several solutions. One is stop using npm and switch to pnpm, because pnpm have at least stopped this one. And it doesn't stop you from not downloading malware. You can still accidentally download malware. You can still do npm install and then pull in the malware, but at least it's not running it by default. The other thing you can do, like as an organization, is cooldowns. Wait 24 hours for bringing things in automatically. You would be surprised. Like, it's not just CI/CD pipelines that often run npm install without the users knowing. Sometimes extensions like VS Coding extensions will run npm install for you to try and keep all your dependencies up to date, only if it's then break. And then you could also pin your versions in your dependencies and say, okay, I want to trust this version. There are so many options, but npm could stop the easiest one for us, but they don't, and it's infuriating.
There's also, I think it's like Kaido who you mentioned earlier, have a wrapper which I think checks the latest publication date of the npm package, and if it's within the last week or so, it just doesn't update it. So it's like
it's cooldowns.
They will wait cooldowns, but like actually implemented in a wrapper, which seems like also a good solution.
There's a few of those. There's a few of those floating about. They do things like scanning as well as checking dates, which is.
But it's. I mean, we like at SEMGRET, we also have rules as well for a lot of malware signatures, mainly around obviously gated code, but it's not something a security vendor should be solving for. We should be solving for there's a CVE in one of these dependencies you're using, make sure you update it. We should not be solving for npm is so terrible that we need to wrap around it, because otherwise all of your credentials are going to get stolen. It's going to worm through all your packages, then through all the packages that rely on your packages, and then it's going to infect millions of computers. Great.
Yeah. I mean, it's a classic problem of usability versus security, and it's like a seesaw. You make something really usable, and it by default becomes more insecure, and you make something more secure, and it does the exact opposite, right? It makes things less usable. I think that's the problem, because package managers like npm, incredibly usable and really useful for developers.
Easy, right?
Automating build processes, everything like that. Yeah. The problem is, also extremely wormable, as we've seen. So yeah, it's a classic. I remember talking about this when I entered the industry. Like there was just this usability versus security. You can't have both. It's one or the other is the unfortunate reality of the thing. And most people, unfortunately, prefer things to be usable rather than secure.
Ease of use to get on with day-to-day life, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really blame them. Like, if you think about our lives, we do insecure things all the time. I bought a house, right? I had to transfer my life savings to the solicitors so they could go and like take my life savings and then send that over to the next
That's the worst feeling in the world, right?
And how does it work? You get an email with a PDF file that says, lol, here's our bank details, and you're like, this is ridiculous. What do you mean this is the way I transfer my life savings to you? Do you not have any other way for me to do this? No? Okay, well, I guess I'm just... And you have to... So when I bought my house, I was like, okay, I'm going to send you £1.39. Could you please tell me what the numbers after the decimal point are? And then did that over the phone. I was the one who implemented the security controls, not them, who are handling like tens of thousands of pounds. They're like sitting there chill being like, just pay us into our bank account. Just do a bank transfer. Yeah. Also, that's where I learned it's actually really hard to transfer your entire life savings. The bank doesn't let you do it. You have to talk to them.
Oh no, but bank phones me up now if I try to buy something like vaguely strange. Like I was buying a car part from someone the other day and they phoned me up immediately and they were like, do you know this person? I was like, yeah. Is the car part good? I was like, yeah, I think so. It's my money. Just let me spend my money, man. Jesus. Yeah. Oh, it feels weird. I've got a tweet here that I wrote a little while back, and it was a developer, and they put this message up, and they said, "A developer is not a developer without question mark." And I immediately replied, "A malicious npm package installed."
You're not even safe anymore because it got into PHP, it got into Python as well. Bear in mind, the worm part, they still only supported npm for actually doing the worm, but actually the malware they got. But I find it very funny because what the malware did is that it downloaded Bun, which is a way of installing JavaScript, and then just ran JavaScript in your Python package. It's like, that's not suspicious at all. That's very normal.
Where does this all end then? Where does it go? Does it just carry on?
I honestly, I feel like it will just carry on because the problem is that up until all of these attacks, nobody thought a worm was like doable in 2020. Like, when was the last time, apart from these, you'd even heard of a worm being a thing? God. Like, probably what the
Sammy worm, maybe, and that wasn't even a true worm if we're thinking about it.
And it's
like I'm trying to think.
Let's just do history of worms. Come on. Wait, no, that's a thing to Google.
We start our discussion with the Morris worm, which you will find on a floppy disk in the Museum of Computing in San Francisco. But yeah, I feel like most people have probably literally only heard about worms in history. I mean, maybe the wormable tweets where it had an XSS and you could tweet from an account, and if you saw that tweet, you could have the XSS and it would tweet from your account. That's probably the most recent kind of visible worm, I guess, aside from these. Yeah. But the problem is people didn't think worms worked, and this has really shown that, hey, worms are actually very effective in the software supply chain. So I think even if Team PCP gave up tomorrow, they said again they're burned out and then left the industry, there would just be other groups who just see how effective worms are. 100%. Because all it takes is a compromise of a VS Code extension or one phishing email to work against a maintainer to compromise not just one developer, but thousands. The only kind of pro we have of most of this is that most of the downstream tends to be in CI/CD pipelines rather than in regular users. And historically, it's quite difficult to turn cloud credentials into money, quite like Web 3.0 wallets are for cryptocurrency. So there is at least a little bit of a barrier to entry for committing cybercrime, but not much. So I don't think we can. I think the problem is that when NPM, say, removes lifecycle hooks from the packages, if it ever does, when it does, now I gotta be positive. When it does, it will just be the next package manager. And it might be slightly more difficult to run. Even if you did remove that, there'd still be ways that, okay, maybe it's not when the dependency is installed, maybe it's when it's run in the code, then it trips it up. But it's shown to be effective. And that's the thing. That's why I don't think it'll ever stop. It's if NPM did something back when Singularity or Shai-Hulud 1.0 happened, I think people would have been like, okay, this only affects NPM, and we've moved on. Now it's one of the most successful attacks in recent memory. It's so effective.
Yeah.
Not to be a doomer, but
no, I think it's right to be.
we are unfortunately, as the kids say, cooked. And now we have AI adding to it as well.
Oh, you're so cool. Know all the words.
Can we get a 6-7 right there? 6-7.
Hey. My son does that.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's only 5. It does on that.
I taught 18-year-olds, and nothing taught me quite like how out of touch I was than chatting with 18-year-olds. And I'm not even that much older than them, and they're still essentially speaking in a code to me, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have a student, one of my mentees, very Gen Z, the most Gen Z person ever, like the stereotypical Gen Z, that is her. And she's like a senior security, and then she called me up during RSA, and she was like, oh, Katie, I'm suddenly important, and she was like getting upset about this. I'm like, this is the most Gen Z conversation I have had. Why is that a bad thing? Why are you unhappy?
I know, right? Like me and Swift entered the industry together when fresh out of university, and it's like, I still feel like sometimes this is why I spend a lot of time, for lack of a better word, shit posting on Twitter. It's because
to keep up with
I still get. No, just to keep myself feeling young. Like, otherwise it's like, oh crap, I have a relatively important job and people look up to me. I don't like that. No. Quickly, they made a wormy boy at NPM.
I must regain my youth. I did a lecture for students about MissingNo in Pokemon, because obviously it's a very good example of a buffer overflow vulnerability. So I'm like, that's relevant to kids. It's relevant to me because I had a Game Boy Color, and I've checked beforehand. I was like, has people heard of Pokemon? It's like, yeah, we've heard of Pokemon. I was like, okay, I'm just checking. And I do this, and their first Pokemon game was like on the DS, and I was like, what do you mean you've never seen a Game Boy before? This wasn't even in color. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So it ended up like, I started out having this really cool lecture that was going to be about video game exploits. It ended up with me looking incredibly out of touch with an ancient game that they'd never even seen before, explaining a Pokemon that was a big part of my childhood. My cousin taught me how to find MissingNo. I was giving to them arcane knowledge, and they were like, no, this isn't cool.
So what's interesting about that is I think that's not a problem of it being an ancient game. That's the main problem there is it's not a popular speedrunning game.
Yes,
because you ask anyone, like all the kids know about Mario 64 and Zelda.
Yeah,
because those are so popular to speedrun. So they know all the there are glitches in those games. There's like literally an arbitrary code execution in Zelda Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. It's crazy. I've seen it being done, like Games Done Quick, I think, is where they did it. And they sort of they linked it up so it would connect via. It was somehow connected to Twitch chat. It was very strange. They had a computer that was connected to Twitch, and they managed to get live Twitch chat in the Zelda Ocarina of Time game, which was amazing to watch. Yeah, craziness. But yeah, I think that's probably the issue. Like,
Yeah, here I was giving them something from my childhood.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, so Mario 64 was definitely from mine, Zelda. But I feel like those two games are still very, very popular in terms of speedrunning and online. So a lot of people, a lot of the youth, the kids
these
are still
days
watching those. Yeah. But yeah, I remember MissingNo. I remember doing the exploit and not understanding what I was doing, apart from like,
Well, it's actually,
I could duplicate the master ball.
If you look, it's actually really interesting. So when I did this full demonstration, I went into the memory hex editor to actually show it live what it was actually doing, because essentially it's because your trainer name gets written to a random piece of memory, but there are by Cinnabar Island. If you've never played Pokemon, if you've never heard of this exploit, it's a very strange conversation to have. But on Cinnabar Island, there are a few tiles that are water tiles, but that aren't like properly marked as water tiles, basically. So the encounter is in this like strange bit of memory, which is where your trainer name gets stored. So MissingNo's data actually comes from your trainer name, because when you get the old man to teach you how to throw a Pokeball, they have to store the name, your name, somewhere else in memory, because they change it to old man. I find it fascinating because, like, for me, how they used to like work with actual memory constraints is absolutely fascinating. I have an XT Ink e-reader. It's got a 380 kilobytes of RAM. It is an engineering challenge to make that do literally anything. And I find the way that old games and old software in general was built to work around memory constraints and actual constraints. Because nowadays it's like, lol, everything has 16 gigabytes of RAM, so you're fine. Like, a phone has gigabytes of RAM. You never have to worry about not having enough processing power, really. That I find the engineering of it fascinating, and the fact that you had to just put your name somewhere else in memory, because otherwise you would lose it forever. And that's just the easiest way to do it.
That's brilliant. That art has been lost now, though, I think.
It really has. Oh, 100%.
Like, some of the big gaming engines now are just, they're bloatware, a lot of them.
I randomly stumbled on a short the other day on YouTube, and this is absolutely nothing to do with any of the rest of the conversation of this podcast, but I love it. And it was about a game that was coded in, I think, 1995. I forget the name of it, but there was part of this game where you had to solve a puzzle with like these. It was a marble game, and you were playing against the AI computer opponent. And the way it calculated its moves, apparently back then, you would either do you would have the AI do a limited number of look ahead, so it could look 3 moves ahead, which is standard. But the way this developer did it was they gave it like 2 seconds, like a static time amount to look up as many moves as it could, and then it went with the best possible move. And that was fine in 1995.
You're okay with the lag.
and now the puzzle is impossible. Like, if you play the game on modern hardware, it's impossible to beat the computer, because in 2 seconds it can basically solve the entire game. So I just found that relatively interesting, because these, like, back in the day they had to come up with these ways to constrain computing power, or ways to do things with limited amounts of resources, and they just don't translate well to the modern day, where basically resources are unlimited.
I don't have it in my office, but my e-reader, so I have an XT Ink. If you've never heard of it, it's ESP32 based, and it's this tiny e-reader that sticks on the back of your phone. So it's literally like this big. It's tiny. It's got a 4.3 inch screen. It's very, very small. It's got 2 buttons, 2 volume rockers on the front and a volume rocker on the side, and that's the page turn buttons. And people, because the manufacturer is actually fairly open, they actually have an SDK, so people have written their own operating system for this tiny e-reader. The problem is for this operating system that most of the developers do not know how to develop for a device that has 380 kilobytes of RAM. So the poor maintainers spend there's an open source version called Crosspoint. The open source version, they spend all their time basically going through things that just like would never work, because it would just munch RAM. People who want Bluetooth enabled, is like, there is no space for Bluetooth on this device. You cannot load the Bluetooth library into RAM. It does not fit with everything else. And recently they introduced fonts on the SD card. And this has been like a feature forever. This is like big news in the e-reader community, by the way, that fonts can be loaded from an SD card because the SD card can support up to 32 gigabytes. The device has 380 kilobytes of RAM. The fonts did not fit. It fit 4 fonts on it. You couldn't fit any more because I added a monospace font to mine. I maintain like a fork of this because this is what I spend my free time doing, by the way, playing RAM golf with my e-reader. But
I love that. RAM golf.
If you look at the discussions, people are like, I don't know why this isn't possible. Why can't we have this? Why can't we have that? And it's like, the fonts don't fit. Where do you think we're going to put Bluetooth if the fonts don't fit? It's an e-reader. Like, you get your 3 so now they do it on the SD card and it uses like a rotating buffer of 8 where it loads 1/8 of the font into memory at any one time in the hopes that you won't have too many sizes, for example. It's fascinating. Like, if you are interested in the engineering of tiny software, this e-reader is such a modern example. Also, everyone's vibe coding it, and like the AI agents do not understand that it only has 380 kilobytes of RAM. But it's fascinating. It's very fun. Like, if you are interested in that, it's very fun. As is Game Boys as well, because they're actually like, people still make Game Boy games with the same limitations, just for fun, just because you can.
I feel like those people are going to save the world when it inevitably collapses. Like, well, it's like the people who still code COBOL.
No, we don't need them.
Like
Did you see that apparently with vibe coding now, less people are being, I can't remember where I read it. It would have been somewhere on Twitter. Less people are being called out of retirement to write COBOL than ever before.
Okay, we've solved. That's something that AI has solved. Thank God.
Enabling retirement for coders everywhere.
Oh no! Yeah, we haven't gotten away for COBOL. We've just passed it on to AI to do it, and now all COBOL is vibe coded.
It's a good job that's not used for like critical infrastructure.
Thank God for that. Yeah,
what a time to be alive.
Oh man,
maybe for not much longer.
It's okay. Mythos is gonna cure all cybersecurity problems. We'll all be out of a job.
Obviously. Yes, absolutely. No more cybersecurity for us.
Thank God, quite frankly.
We can retire.
I want to go back to making Game Boy games.
Yes.
Maybe that's our future. Maybe we just write Game Boy games and e-reader fonts.
Forever.
You're writing a game, Swift.
I am writing. Oh, fuck.
What's your game?
No, because I knew that was going to happen.
But do you...
I did the voice acting. It's great.
You did the voice acting for the tutorial. It's called Hide the Sausage, Katie. And it is as ridiculous as it sounds. It's a game where one team has a sausage and you hide it. And then the other team has to go and find it.
So I assume this is a video game.
Love it.
Or is it a real game? Is it a real?
Yes.
Is it like a TTRPG?
No, it's a video game. Thank fuck.
Yeah, there's not like a physical version. Well,
there could be. Like, to be fair,
there's scope for it. But no, it's
okay. Well, hide the sausage at DEF CON. Let's do it.
You know what? It might give me a target to actually get it finished.
I feel like that could really work for DEF CON.
It
it's so
definitely
big.
Probably would. Well, the physical version or
yeah. Well,
the physical version.
If not, I've got a good idea for one of your game shows, Tib3rius.
Imagine, right? You go and give it to a single village, and then some poor sod has to go around every single village at DEF CON who has no idea the game is going on and go, "Do you have a sausage for me?"
This is actually an excellent idea. I like where this is heading. It'd be a hell of a marketing campaign as well.
Can you imagine the villagers being like, "I have no. Why do people keep showing up asking for sausages?" Like like you give it to like a workshop people aren't sure if people will go to. Be like, do you wanna hide the sausage in your workshop? Perfect, you've got an audience.
One of the really obscure ones.
That's perfect.
I'm going to do this.
Oh man,
this is great.
Yeah, that's our plan for DEF CON.
Yeah.
It's not like I had 3 other things to do at DEF CON this year. No.
I'm speaking at DEF CON this year.
Nice.
Not
What are
a
you
main
talking about?
conference. Well, I've applied for a main conference. We'll see whether I get in. But IoT Village, talking about, that tiny e-reader. I'm talking about hacking e-readers.
Is it about fonts?
Nice.
Yeah, to be fair, I am going to devote a bit of time to talk about fonts and the size of fonts.
Perfect.
Excellent.
If I have time, I'll try and catch it. My DEF CON tends to be
Don't worry,
chaos.
I'll get it covered.
Awesome.
I'll report back. Whilst you're doing your thing.
You're also talking at B-Sides Leeds, which this will air after that. So I only mention it because that would be, what are you talking at B-Sides Leeds about?
I'm doing a lightning talk because I was like, I'm so busy, I probably shouldn't sign myself up to a full talk. And I was correct. I haven't actually made the slides yet. That's next week. So I probably do need to make the slides eventually. But I'm doing clever use of game mechanics, which, as anybody who is part of like the World of Warcraft community would know this particular phrase, the idea of cheesing boss mechanics, and that it doesn't count as hacking because it's just clever use of game mechanics. But talking about all the hacking that maybe isn't really hacking. I almost did one about Habbo Hotel as well, but I decided not to at the last minute.
That's had a resurgence recently, hasn't it?
It has. I used to do a lot of private server emulation. That's how I got in, was like reverse engineering Habbo Hotel. But the statute of limitations hasn't actually run out in the UK. So it has in the US. So I might talk about it at DEF CON, but admit to committing your crimes after the statute of limitations expires.
Shall I edit that out of the podcast?
Oh no, you can keep it in. I'm not.
Okay, good.
It's other people who committed crimes, not me. But I don't want to get them.
Gotcha.
They've got like serious.
Gotcha.
It's quite funny as somebody who is into a lot of the private server like emulation community. It's quite funny now how a lot of the people I like grew up, like I spent my teenage years making Habbo Hotel servers with, now have very serious jobs in like computing and work for very serious companies. And then you got me, who works as a security advocate at a security company. So I can talk about all this stuff. But they have like actual jobs. So they probably don't want me talking about their crimes, because they would probably quite like to keep their jobs, I assume, in this economy.
That's funny.
I hear they're useful.
They do. You pay
Jobs,
monthly.
yeah. Dragon.
A friend of mine met his partner on Habbo Hotel years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're still together now. Yeah. It's one of my best friends. Obviously
On actual Habbo Hotel?
No, actual Habbo Hotel. Old school retro, back in the day. And we were walking around Habbo Hotel selling people pictures of donkeys.
Wait, like with the photo mechanic?
No, like actual
Actual
pictures. They had a website and everything, and that's how they met. Because one day we went up to this girl and they just got talking. She was interested in a donkey. And it went from there. And they're still together to this day.
We're all very weird people, aren't we?
Yes, we are. When you look at it like that, we are quite strange. But I love the reference to Warcraft as well. I'm here for that all the time.
I tell when people, because I started playing World of Warcraft when I was like quite young. So I started playing as soon as it came out in the UK. So I can like measure a lot of like my teenage years through which expansion pack was out and how actively I was playing. And actually my partner also plays WoW. I didn't meet him on WoW. I actually met him through a friend of mine who's a streamer. He was somebody in her chat, which is how we met. There's very, very, we met on Twitch. Very, very modern life, but he also plays WoW. But he started playing WoW in like Warlords of Draenor. I'm like, that's the worst time to start playing WoW. Jesus Christ.
Burning Crusade.
I don't play WoW, so I got none of those references.
Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. I didn't play during Cataclysm. Mr. Pandaria I played a lot in university.
That was lovely. I like Mr. Pandaria. That was very
great rating.
I do like how we started with Shai-Hulud and somehow managed to get onto games and game hacking. That was pretty nice.
About 10 minutes of
it's great.
of the title of a podcast.
The only thing we've learned from doing this podcast is that literally nobody will care. They'll just listen to the whole thing because they like it. So
I mean, that's what you want to be in your career, isn't it? No one really cares what you have to say, but they'll listen to you anyway. That's basically being exec.
I didn't mean it like that, but
That's what a CISO is.
Force for people to listen.
Oh,
Thank you very much for having me on, folks.
yeah. Katie, thank you so much for joining us. Please tell our listeners where to find and follow you online.
You can find me all over the internet as InsiderPhD, or you can just Google my name. That's my one flex, is that you can just Google me now, Katie Paxton-Fear, and I come up as your first result. So there's some name brand recognition.
Even on the dark web as well.
Even on the dark web, yeah. You can look up InsiderPhD on Breach Forum. And you'll see some discussions of how good my YouTube channel is.
Recommended by threat actors. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
That'd be a lovely sticker to make up. Recommended by threat actors.
It would be. like the dentists recommended by 9 out of 10 threat actors.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like every cybersecurity creator could have that sticker. I have one with me, have one with Tib3rius, have one with, Nahamsek. He probably gets it as well. Yeah, John Hammond definitely has some threat actors watching him. 8 out of 10 threat actors recommend cybersecurity YouTubers.
I might have to make that as a sticker now.
Yeah, add to your collection.
Oh,
you have too many sticker ideas, but I expect to see them at Leeds.
Good. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I've been Tib3rius. He's been Andy Swift. We've been joined by Katie Paxton-Fear, and this has been Across the Pondcast. You can find all of our social media links in the episode description or on acrossthepondcast.net, and we will see you next time.
Farewell.
Bye, everyone.